Hey, good afternoon. Kirk McDowell here with Contribution Selling. Hope you're having a great day. Today I'm answering the question, what type of training is required for a sales manager? So what type of training is required for a sales manager? Great question. Let's see. So there's really two things going on with a sales manager. Three, actually. So one thing is most sales managers are competent salespeople. They started off being a salesperson. It's not always true, but um, for the most part, salespeople get promoted until they become sales managers. That's not always a great practice, but that's a topic for another day. Um, Oftentimes, what it takes to be a great salesperson are different characteristics than it takes to be a great manager. And so we're going to talk about that in terms of training here in a second, like what type of training is required to be a sales manager. So first of all, sales training, like you need to be proficient, if not masterful, as a salesperson. Because if you're a sales manager, your people are going to be the people that you manage are going to be coming to you looking for support, like answers to questions like, hey, I said this, they said that, I said this, they said that, and I was stuck. What do you recommend? Right? So you either have to have some experience as a salesperson so that you can answer questions. Your job there as a sales manager is to make the life of your salesperson better, right? Removing obstacles, salient and, and timely advice, removing barriers, protecting from distractions or internal bureaucracy, that kind of thing, right? You want your salespeople out there doing their job, not filling out ridiculous paperwork or, running hurdles for management or doing anything like politically motivated. I don't mean like politics like Democrats and Republicans. I mean, in every organization, there's sort of there's some degree of people being political, like having to do what the boss likes or do things a certain way or, that sort of thing, right? So there's a certain amount of politics involved in any company, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So a sales manager's job is to help the salesperson maneuver through the company, maneuver out in the world, like prospects and customers, remove obstacles, have their back, have salient answers and suggestions and information when needed and appropriate, help guide past the pitfalls and the landmines and to success. Like the sales manager's job is to guide their salespeople most elegantly to success and to train them along the way so that they get strong, so that salesperson gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So there's really three elements here. There's sales competency, there's management competency, and there's leadership competency. Okay. So the sales competency is pretty self-explanatory. Like the more successful experience you have, the next best thing would be training. Next best thing might be a network of people you could talk to support your salespeople. Like you might be a business owner and not have very much successful history with sales and still be accountable for the sales team, right? Because maybe you can't afford a sales manager yet. So in that case, you may not be deriving from your own experience, but you've got a team of people that you know and trust who are these masterful salespeople that you can call and get advice, get coaching, so that you can work with your salespeople. So there's sales competency, that's important. There's management competency, which is developing a process or a system that works, right? Salespeople are doing activities that are productive financially most of the time. There's a system where they're supported, where they're getting information they need. If they have a breakdown or something, they can, get the help they need right away. You want to keep them efficient, moving forward. Processes and systems. You manage processes and systems, and you lead people, right? So the management part is like, how does it all work? Like, what time do you show up? Or what's your sale? How is your sales territory organized? How is your compensation determined? How are your goals and objectives set up? What's the current objective? Like, what's the current initiative that we're at work on? Like, so that's management. And then leadership is like leading people, right? People want to work with great leaders. People want to follow great leaders. What's a great leader? Someone who's got your back, someone who knows what's going on, someone who's big and strong enough to protect you from internal threats and external threats. What do I mean by that? If you've ever been a new salesperson in a company, and I say new because the phenomenon is more exaggerated when you're new. When you're new and don't have a lot of political clout, right? There's, people were not kind to me when I was the new salesperson in the copier. Like in the 1980s, I'm 56. So in New Orleans in the 80s, I think 86, 87, I started off in the copier business. People were not kind to me. The service staff was downright hostile. The administrative staff was downright hostile. The owners were kind of, disinterested and undermining. The sales staff was highly competitive. So there was not an abundance of, support, kind words. It was more like elbows and, throwing you an elbow every now and then just to prove a point or something like that. So you kind of have to overcome all of that. So a great leader, is someone that you can count on to protect you from some of that, right? Set up a culture in an organization supportive of doing the job that we're here to do, right? People like to be rough with salespeople. Now, that's not entirely unearned. I have been lied to by salespeople, more times than I could possibly even speculate. And so there is a sort of an agreed opinion about salespeople, right? If you're a business person, it's not good to lie, but it's fine to lie to a salesperson. And for many sales organizations, even within the organization, salespeople are treated disrespectfully, in very subtle and not so subtle ways. We don't need to get into all of that, but there's a leadership component, right? The idea of having a leader is someone who'll protect you, and they get something in exchange for that, right? So the sales manager as the leader is someone who's there to lead you, protect you from bureaucracy, protect you from rough customers, getting into crazy situations, managing processes and systems, and then actually knowing something about sales or having access to actual relevant, salient, timely knowledge when necessary. So it's kind of three components. So training that you would need to be a sales manager would really include all three things, right? The sales training. By the way, I have wonderful training available at contributionselling.com, okay? So there's sales training. There's management training. And I happen to have written a book called Growing Giants, which is a contribution approach to sales management, right? So that is actual sales management training. So if you were to go to kirkmcdowell.com and look under contribution selling, one of the menu items, kind of scroll down, there's a free download there that you're welcome to. That's at kirkmcdowell.com. That's my full name. And then there's the leadership part. I don't happen to have a book on leadership, but I'm working on one. And so really you'd want all three components. If you wanted to be a world-class sales manager, world-class for me just means top of your field, top 10% in the world perhaps, and however you choose to judge that. I whenever I do anything, I'm kind of always working towards world class. I don't really know how else to do that, but anyway, so if you want to be a great sales manager, world class or otherwise, training in really the three components: sales, management, and leadership. Sales is just to encapsulate it. Sales, let's call it the connecting with the world, like having conversations with people in such a way that the value that you are gets communicated, and the world hears that communication in a way that, if it's appropriate, they want some. So if I'm a sales coach, selling would be engaging with the world, engaging with a human being, like having a conversation, opening something up, where that person sees what I have to offer is like awesome, right? So, that's selling. Let's call that selling. Let's call management the the running of systems and processes, right? The smooth operations of systems and processes to have business work. In this case, to have the sales process work, and however the salesperson needs to integrate with the company, that all works and smooth and is elegant. And then leadership, right? And leadership is leadership. I think one way you could summarize leadership is it's the responsibility for the creation of something that doesn't exist. So management has things work really well that already exist. You have to have great management if you want to grow anything. But what leadership does is look at a blank slate and then say, I will create this here and put it here in this emptiness, like a sales quota or a new customer. There was not a new customer, then there is. That's leadership. There's 0 sales in this territory. Now there's sales in this territory. That's leadership. So that leadership piece, the management piece, and the sales piece would all be really relevant to training a sales manager. So so that would be my answer to what kind of training. What was the exact question? What type of sales training? No, I'm sorry. What type of training is required for a sales manager? So there you go. Training that would train you in sales, management, and leadership. If you go to contributionselling.com, a great place to start in sales training. I have some free training there. It'll be my gift to you. If you go to kirkmcdowell.com, there's a free book there on sales management, which I'd be delighted for you to have. If you want to talk, hit me up at kirkmcdowell.com. There's a schedule button right there. I'd be happy to schedule a contribution selling challenge call, which is super awesome. All right, guys, take care. Talk to you real soon. Thanks.